everyone. Welcome to Lisbon. We are here in Lisbon on our home exchange, and we are starting to explore this beautiful old city.
The flights over were so cheap. What were they, 85 euros each return?
So from Madeira to Lisbon, it's a quick hop, skip, and a jump, an excellent home exchange, and here we go to see things that maybe we haven't seen before.
We've been to Lisbon before, so this time we thought we'd start at the convent of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. It's a medieval convent built between 1389 and 1423, but now it's just an archaeological museum full of tombs, windows, fountains, relics, and pieces of all kinds of history from Portugal.
Most of it was destroyed, or much of it was destroyed in the 1755 earthquake. So what you see is sort of what's left, and they have done an amazing job at making it beautiful and showcasing so much of Portuguese history.
Well, the old architecture and the stonework is just incredible. It's so intricate and detailed. It's neat to wander through here. It's almost like their version of Westminster Abbey.
Yeah,
in a way.
It does remind me of that. You can make those connections between the two time periods for sure.
And they have a great little video at the end that tells the history of Lisbon and Portugal through the centuries, including the great earthquake and fire that destroyed much of the city. We also hit up the oldest bookshop in the world. It's actually in the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yes, and there's a plaque right on the wall when you walk in to see that. It has several vaulted rooms when you walk in, and of course it's a bookstore, so they do sell mostly Portuguese books, but they do have some English books in there as well.
And it's one vaulted room after the other, and of course, like many places in Europe, it ends in a coffee shop.
And what's really cool about this bookshop is if you actually buy a book here and you go to pay for it, they'll ask you if you want it stamped, and they'll stamp it with the world's oldest bookstore.
And if books aren't your thing, maybe fish are. Portuguese love bacalhau, and they actually have a museum called the Bacalhau Museum. All kinds of fun things. There's all kinds of ways to see the city, whether it's on foot or by bus or tram or train. But one of our favorite is the cable car.
The telecabine is a cable car, and it's in the area of Expo that was built in 1998. And it takes you from this area right to the Oceanarium with amazing views of the Vasco da Gama Bridge and basically just amazing views of the whole complex of the nation's park.
Right along the Tagus River too, which is really nice. Well, I guess it's the Tagus estuary.
We then headed to the Oceanarium of Lisbon. It was inaugurated in 1998, again as part of Expo, and the theme was The Oceans, a Heritage for the Future. And you definitely feel that connection between Lisbon and the ocean when you're here.
Yeah, and the Central Aquarium is pretty cool. There's over 5 million liters of salt water in it, and there's actually 4 marine habitats in there. It's made to look like one giant tank, but it's an illusion of a single aquarium or one ocean. This is one of my favorite. Were they called seahorses? Floating leaves. They are so beautiful to see up close.
Doug loves the history of explorers, and you definitely feel it everywhere in Lisbon, and especially when you're near this monument called the Monument to the Discoveries. It is super high, something like 170 feet high, and it was built in 1940 and inaugurated in 1960.
It has all the Portugal's important figures throughout history as far as exploration and seafaring, and it's just majestic in the skyline and along the Tagus estuary that leads out to the ocean with the beautiful bridge in the background. We've been up the Torre de Belem before, the tower. It's beautiful to see from the outside and the inside. Today we walked around it on our way to the marina to catch our sailing cruise, our evening sailing cruise around the harbor.
We set out on an evening sunset sail. It was a little cloudy, so we didn't have the greatest sunset, but it was so nice to see the city view from the water. And here we are, end of October, beginning of November, and you can still do all these things. What a great, great time to visit.
Yeah, the sounds of the waves against the hull and the flapping of the sail and just being out in the open air and water and the lights around Lisbon, it was pretty nice. And it also gives you a different perspective of all the things that you're seeing on lands, from the monuments to the art-inspired buildings to, of course, the sweeping view of the bridge.
What's nice about some of these tours is that the guides are really knowledgeable. So as we were sailing along, they were sharing information, poured us a glass of wine. So we had a little relaxed time and learned a few things about Lisbon that we didn't know.
And there's our favorite square again.
So then we headed off to Time Out Market. So this is a modern Portuguese food hall, and it's located in the Mercado da Ribeira de Cais de Sodré. It's kind of neat. It's communal eating. You sit at long tables.
Yeah, it's a hopping place. It's so lively and boisterous. It's very much a tourist trap, although I've been told that every restaurant in there has been hand-picked, hand-curated. So it is good food, but it is very touristy.
Yeah, and it's a little pricey, and they only take cards, so you can't show up with cash, which is kind of different. But there's 24 restaurants, 8 bars, and a bunch of shops.
We needed to work off some of the food, so we headed out on Lisbon cycle tours. What a great way to see the old quarter. We went through the Alfama district with a guide and 2 other couples, and you go up the 7 hills of
That's
Lisbon,
right.
and you get a guided tour. He tells you the history of the things you're seeing and why the roads are the way they are, and the areas, how they developed. It's exercise. You have a bit of help from an electric bike.
Yeah, it's a good amount of help. So if you're a little leery about biking up, which I am, it sure gives you that boost that you need.
It makes me want an electric bike for Madeira for sure, because it is a great way to go up the hills and make it enjoyable. But the views are stunning. You get a great overview of Lisbon from there. You see the intricate tile work of the buildings and just the old quarters going back to Moorish times.
Yeah, and you cover so much ground on the bike, which I thought was really neat. It's been a while since we've done some biking like this. So we had a half-day tour. It was great. Lots of little history facts that we didn't know either. So that was good.
I have to keep an eye, make sure she's actually pedaling. Back in Belém is one of my absolute favorites. It's the Maritime Museum, which is dedicated to all aspects of the history of navigation in Portugal. And there is a lot of it. They were navigation experts. They went all over the world, and this museum tells the history of their exploration. It has maps of all the places that they've been back in the day. It talks about their boats and all kinds of models of their ships that they used. There's artwork, there's sculptures. It's just a great place to wander through. It's very relaxing, very clean, and it just takes you back in history.
Even if you're someone who's not super into navigation or boats, the history part is really cool. There's all the different explorers and all the places that they went. I found that really inspiring. The Portuguese have been everywhere. They are an exploring people, and I think that's the connect that we feel with them, is exploring.
Right.
Fun fact, the nuns and the monks who lived at Geronimo's monastery would starch their clothing with egg whites that left the egg yolks, and so they invented the famous Pasty de Belm, or now called Pasty de Natas, or just Natas, so we had to go try one at the famous shop.
The original Pasty de Nata. They give you everything you need in the bag, including a little bit of powdered sugar and, of course, cinnamon. Hot out of the oven. It's a busy place, but it's worth trying. They're so good.
We love Lisbon. Cheers!
For more information on our first house swap, please check out this video. And as usual, check back in and
track us down.